Thursday, January the 2nd, 2025, 6 o'clock at night. Can you remember, within 5 feet, exactly where you were and what the weather was like? Can anybody? No. I can. Yes, it was cold. It was hovering around 1 degree. So where I was on a cycle path, a tarmac cycle path. Sorry, I forgot the microphone. Yeah. We're not working. I am? No. So I forgot all about a microphone, but it's not working anyway. So, thank you. So I was laid on this tarmac cycle path. It was hovering around 1 degree. I'd been out, it was about 400 yards from home. It was dark, 6 o'clock at night. There was a very bright light on the cycle path coming towards me, and I thought, that's going fast. Actually, that's going really fast. And as it got to about 10 foot, 20 foot in front of me, it suddenly veered straight at me. So I put my arm up, no, shout, no! With some added F words. There were several F words. The next thing, I've gone over handlebars, I've hit this other person on the bike, I've gone over handlebars, I'm laying on the ground. So there was plenty of F words, and I looked down at my leg, looked down at my foot. And there's if any of you were here last year, mine is amateur hour compared to Steve Judge that was here last year. But I looked down, I moved my foot, and my foot was flip-flopping. I had a boot on. It was just flip-flopping left to right. And this is a boy thing, but once I thought, oh, that feels a bit funny. That feels crunchy. That's quite dramatic. Let me do that again. Ooh, it's a boy thing. It's a thing we do. So, cut a long story short, the reason it was hurting me so much and flip-flopping, it was very broken. Later on that night at A&E, the doctor said to me, your leg, Mr. Green, is very broken. So when something's very broken from a doctor, So I said, so I'm not going home tonight. No, you're definitely not going home tonight. So what followed was 26 hours across 3 different A&Es and trauma centres before eventually in a bed. I can tell you, at 4 o'clock in the morning, you do not want to be in Boston A&E. Nobody does. It's a dreadful place to be. So it was about 3:30. My wife came to hold my hand, and she came into this room where they were going to reset my leg. So she had to leave the room to be sick because of the noise and the heat and looking at it. It was not a pleasant experience. So I ended up, 26 hours later, in a bed on the Friday night. I never saw a consultant until Monday morning, but they said to me, you are going to have an operation. It's routine. You have plates and screws. Don't worry about it, it'll be fine. Mr. whoever it was, the consultant, would do his rounds on Monday. So the first couple of days, as a business person, this is quite relaxing. This is quite nice. Keep dosing up on the morphine. Morphine's a wonderful thing. And eventually, from about as far away as you are over there, the consultant on the other side of the room, Mr. Green, 22 operations in front of you, we'll get to you. I'll probably see you tomorrow and talk you through what we're going to do. Okay. So, 9 days later, I still had not had an operation. I'd had 5 cancelled operations for various reasons. They were busy, they were behind, there was lots of accidents, it was -5 overnight, people kept tripping over, breaking bones, breaking ankles. I was comfortable, there was always somebody in a higher priority. But on that 9th day, something different happened. So, if you're squeamish, I'll just show you. This was my leg, which is a bit broken. So we'll go off that for the moment. So on the 10th day, this gentleman came into my life, Mr. Alok Singh. So what the hospital did, they changed the consultant and he took over. I can't remember the guy's name, but I had for 9 days. I only saw him from across the ward. Mr. Singh came up and he pulled a chair up, pulled it by the side of my bed and sat down. That's different. So he proceeded to ask me, what do you do? So I told him what I did. He said, I assume you want to carry on cycling because you did this while you was riding your bike. I said, yeah, definitely. I ride all year round. I have a YouTube channel for cycling. I've got 2,000 subscribers. I cycle 4,000 or 5,000 miles a year. Of course I want to do it. Have you got any other hobbies? Yeah, race Lambrettas. Odd thing to do. They said, well, where do you do that? I said, all circuits all over the country. But they go fast. Yeah, they go very fast. Are you successful? Yeah, we're British champions in endurance racing. Have you got any other hobbies? Yeah, go-kart race. How often do you do that? 2, 3, 4 times a month. Are you successful at that too? Yeah, I'll hold the lap record for over 60s at Lincoln. It's an age-related leaderboard. Obviously only just in that. I had to lie about my age. So there I am telling him all these things. Anything else you do? Yeah, snowboard. Oh, okay. And he sat there, and I'm going to say it felt like it was a minute. It's probably 15 or 20 seconds. He said to me, Mr. Green, do you mind if I call you Paul? Yeah, call me Paul, it's my name. He said, what's your appetite to risk? Refer to earlier list of hobbies. Why? What have you got in mind? He said, what I'm thinking of doing, I'm going to take you down to X-ray, I'm going to take you out of plaster, and I'd like to stand on my leg. Did somebody just say shit? Yeah. I said that with added Fs. So I said, and he said, this catcher says, I want to see what happens. Now, I'm a layman, I'm not a consultant, but I said, surely we know what's going to happen. I've seen the X-rays before they reset it overnight, and the bones were a long way apart. Surely they're just going to go back to that when I stand on that leg, with all my weight on one leg. He says, it may not. So when you say may, so I'm reasonably certain it won't. Reasonably? So long story short, went down to X-ray. He dosed me up on morphine. I stood on it. It moved a tiny amount. So they sent me back to the ward, out of the plaster cast, and he looked at the X-rays. And he came to see me about 20 minutes later. Good news. It's only moved a tiny amount. I said, so why is that good news? I'm going to leave you for a couple of hours, dose you up again with some more morphine later on, and I'm going to take you back down. I'm going to manipulate it by hand the last 2 or 3 millimetres, because that is what they would have done with the plate and screws. So I said, well, am I not better to have plates and screws? No, he says. On your list of hobbies, they nearly all involve wearing a boot. For kart racing, on my cycle, I was wearing a boot when I got here. I wear boots for snowboarding, wear boots racing scooters. He says that plate and screws will be exactly where you tie or fasten your boots. So when it's all healed in 2 years, you will come back and want me to take it out because it will be very uncomfortable. And when you're cycling over winter, as you were when it was about minus 1 degree or whatever, it will hurt like hell because you'll have about 6 screws, maybe more, and 1 or 2 plates, and it'll be very close to the surface. Okay. So you're probably wondering why I'm telling you this, because we're at a legal growth conference and I'm talking about customer service. So on Alok Singh's business card, it says he's a consultant surgeon, but I don't think he is. I think he's a customer service specialist. Okay? So what he did, he's a very clever man, so he sat down with me, pulled up a chair close, found out all about me, found out what I did, gave me some information from his knowledge that I wasn't in possession of, which is almost certainly is going to need to come out. It's a second operation, off your feet again. So, bearing that in mind, customer service specialist. He assessed the problem, gave me some information, and built a personal treatment plan for me. First consultant, standard NHS, nothing against him. He would have fixed me eventually when there was a slot. I'd have been fixed, but that was standard. So he was extraordinary. So as a result, 10 weeks later, I was back go-kart racing in 10 weeks. 4 months later, I was back on 2 wheels on a Lambretta. So I'm going to cover 3 things. So what I've just described is the first one. So this is the first part that I'd like to think about in terms of customer service. And this is what he did. Customer service is personal. And we touched upon this earlier. A couple of the earlier speakers spoke about making it personal. So what he did was totally personal to me. He spent time with me, he sat down, constructed something totally aimed at helping me from his knowledge. That is number 1 in terms of the rules, the golden rules for customer service. So Alok Singh was a very clever man, as far as I'm concerned. He treated lower limbs for 20 years. This gentleman is another very clever fellow. So if you don't know, it's Albert Einstein. And he has this formula, E equals mc squared. I don't profess to be able to explain that, but I know it's clever stuff. He's lauded, he's a scientist. We know that's clever. Now, I'd pose this question. What if Albert Einstein was not a scientist? What if he was a business person? What if he was an entrepreneur? I don't think he would have come up with E equals mc squared. I think if he was an entrepreneur, sales and marketing, he would have come up with this. G equals sm squared. So the M is marketing. You do some marketing, it helps your sales to become easier. Marketing plus sales together is growth. We all want growth. The square, very firmly, is customer service. So it multiplies. So imagine you do some marketing. We spoke about marketing this morning. You get sales from it. It gives you growth. If you mess up, I nearly said the F word, but we'll discuss this. If you mess up your customer service, it stops. Okay? So it makes your marketing and your sales and that money pointless. You wasted it. So very few people have enough conscious effort about customer service. And there's a show of hands. Is there anybody here that's got on their leaflets, on the website, we give very ordinary, bit rubbish service? No, nobody does. You all go, we give great service. Can you think of anybody, any business that says, I don't give great service? They don't. So, customer service multiplies. It will multiply marketing and sales. So let's focus a little bit on why it's the multiplier. So I'm going to be slightly politically correct for the moment. Those people of my age might cast your mind back to 1985. I was in my first sales job. David Penny was my sales director, and I asked him this question as the rookie 22-year-old salesman. David, what's the difference between sales and marketing? Very easy, Paul. Sales, I'm really good in bed. Would you like to come? Marketing, I hear you're really good in bed. I'd like you to take me. I've added my own customer service. So I'm very good in bed, or I've heard you're good in bed. If you give them really good customer service, I've told my best friend about it, I hope you don't mind, and I've booked a hotel for next time. That's when you've given really good customer service. So another clever fella is Walt Disney. So we know, if anybody's been to Disneyland, what an amazing experience it is. Disneyland, they're one of the prime sort of companies that give really good customer service. No one comes back from Disney, oh, it's a bit rubbish. No one does. So he had this saying, oh sorry, keep pressing on. Whatever you do, do it so well that people come back, tell their friends, and want to see you do it again. So many people come back from Disneyland, they want to go again because it's so good, and they've told their friends. So let's explore that a little bit more. So as Laurie mentioned, I opened a cycle cafe. It was my midlife crisis business. I'm a bit of a coffee geek and a cyclist. I thought, I know, I'll open a cycle cafe. So we opened this cycle cafe in a wooden building in a little village with about 30 houses miles from anywhere, with one very defined target market, which was cyclists. It was an empty wooden building in a farmyard. 12 weeks later, 1,500 coffee shops, cafes on TripAdvisor in Nottinghamshire, and we were number one. So how did we do that? It's very simple. We gave really good customer service. So let me pick a few examples. First of all, the brand was amazing. Great brand. So these were some of the slogans. So wow, just wow. Somebody had come along and said, wow, just wow. They put that on TripAdvisor. Brilliant. What a welcome. I'll come back to welcome. They're getting it right. So we built this community of people that loved the kind of customer service we wanted to give them. They were cyclists. We pandered to that market. Didn't want anybody else. Didn't want the families, didn't want the grannies, didn't want the young mums meeting on a Friday with the 2 kids. We wanted cyclists. So let's pick this apart a little. What we did, we always had this basic thing, we needed to over-exceed the expectation. So back to my earlier question, we give good service. What can you do to over-exceed good service? So first-time visitors. So probably some of you, it might be the first time you came to this hotel. So when you came in here, if somebody came into this room, they'd come through that door as you did at reception, and they'd come in, where do I go? I've not been here before. Where's the counter? How do I order? Where's the toilets? Oh, there's a queue over there. Do I stand in that queue? What do I do? So we trained the staff, whatever they were doing, if they heard the door go, to look up and look at that door. So if someone came through that door now, I can't turn off. Oh, I'd have to look. Have they looking around? It's the first time they've been. Track that into your world. What about, is it the first time they've written a will? Is it the first time they've moved house? Is it the first time they've needed conveyancing? Do they actually know what's involved? First-time visitors are obvious. You've got to really look after them, explain everything, because they don't know. You know, in my coffee shop, I know where the toilets are. I know where the charging points for the phones are. They don't. You've got to share with them everything. People would come in and say, oh, it's amazing, this coffee shop. What made you create it? Oh, let me pull up a chair. I'll pull up a chair with them, as Alok Singh did to me, and tell them the story of how we came to open this coffee shop. So I share that story. And that story briefly was that I came across it, went home and said to my wife, I've got an idea. What's that? We're going to open a cafe, a coffee shop. Why? Where? And it was a bit of a shock to her. And we did it in 3 weeks, we opened. So I shared that story. As a whole separate story, we actually did it with £3.95. We spent £3.95 on chairs, tables, which is a whole story on its own. So we had this unique story, which I shared. That story was unique to us. No one else has opened a coffee shop in Nottinghamshire and been number one on TripAdvisor in 12 weeks. No one else has opened a coffee shop in a wooden building in a farmyard with £3.95 in their pocket. No one's done that. So that was our authentic story, which we told to people. The next thing that did, they become a part of it. So my wife had this story. She was here. I always reference her. And she always said, both to me and the staff, all these 50 people who are in his coffee shop could have gone to any other coffee shop. We've worked all week. They've chosen to come here to spend their money. The least we can do is really look after them. Your customers could have gone to any number of legal businesses, will writers, conveyancers, whatever. There's a heck of a lot on Google, in the phone book, whatever, that they've chosen for some reason to come to you. So you need to give really, really good customer service. So this leads us to number 2. So you've got to make your customer service authentic. It's got to be about you, about your company, what you do. Share it with them. You're not cut and paste. None of you should be cut and paste. So your story is personal around them and you make it authentic. So a couple more things, names. We called everybody by names, no table numbers. So occasionally it was a problem. Got a cappuccino for Dave. Dave's quite common. Okay, wherever there's a Dave, there's generally a Steve. Wherever there's a Sharon, there's generally a Tracy. It just happens. So occasionally you can't cappuccino for Dave and you get the wrong Dave with the cappuccino. But the other point is it makes it personal. They're not table 28, they're Dave. And they come in every week. Oh, Dave, morning, yeah, good. So this particular day, really busy day, Richard came in for his cappuccino. So we wrote down on the slip, Richard, put it on the barista's drinks board. 2 people along in the same group. I'm Richard as well. I'm Rich W. Put me down as Rich W. Save some confusion. No problems, Rich W. Didn't think too much more of that. The next group come in. He says, now you've got a problem. I'm Richard as well. You can be Richard III. So he was Richard III with his cappuccino. So young Katie, 16-year-old student, was a waitress. I said, when you set this one out, go out and shout really loud, Richard III. I can't do that. Come on, just a minute. So she went out, cappuccino, Richard III. The whole place erupts into laughter. Within that group, that guy became known as Richard III. That nickname stuck in his group. It just stuck. We had Pete from Sleaford. Second visit he came to us. He left a review on Facebook. It was the first review, but wasn't 5-star. I wasn't too happy. It wasn't a bad review. I forget the exact words. Basically, I've got to go again just to prove it's not a fluke or something along those lines. So it signed off Pete W. So I didn't know him. And a couple of weeks later, there's a drinks ticket, Pete W. Is that Pete W. that left us a 4-star review? I wonder. So I said, I took the drink over to him. You Pete W? He says, yeah. I said, you left us a review, didn't you, on Facebook? Yeah, I did. Hang on, hold that thought. So I pulled up a chair, like these here, stood on it. There's about 40-odd people. Asked for silence. Everybody, please, I want to introduce Pete over there. He's the one that has just left us a 4-star review, not a 5-star. Everybody laughs, he's a butt of all jokes. He became 5-star Pete. 5-star Pete from down the street. So all of a sudden, we're building this culture. It's a bright, cheery place to be. There's an element of theatre in that. So we touched upon it. Legal is quite dry. You can't go standing on chairs and giving your customers these nicknames, but is there things you can do? So that first time, do you really look after your customers? Tell them how it all works. Remove their fears. So number 3, which we touched upon, deliver with personality. So that whole thing of calling Pete, 5-star Pete from down the street, Richard III. There's a string of these people. We delivered it. You can get away with a heck of a lot with a smile when you say it, a heck of a lot. But in professions, got to be professional. But maybe not always. Maybe not always. This one was counterintuitive. We delayed to impress. Okay? So we were only aimed at cyclists. We might have a queue of 20 people waiting for the coffee. It doesn't take, broadly, a cappuccino, a flat white, takes a minute to make it. You can't do it any less. So if you have 20 people come in, you've probably got 18 flat whites cappuccinos. You've got at least 18 minutes of drinks, but it doesn't take 18 minutes to serve them. So we artificially slowed down the queue because they're all the same. They're with people like them on bikes. They've all ridden through the same wind, rain, sun, whatever. They're happy in the queue. They're all the same, and we'll come back to that. They're with people like them. The queue becomes a social occasion. They're all happy. So let's artificially slow it down. We're British, we like standing in the queue. Why are we in the queue? It must be good here. So when they're stood in that queue for 20 minutes, but they've got their drink in 5 minutes, we've over-exceeded. If you stood in a queue for 20 minutes waiting for a drink, you're probably thinking, oh, it's going to be half an hour. But we artificially created the queue so we could serve them quickly to over-exceed. It's obvious when you think about it. People said it was genius. So we delayed to impress. So I've got 2 arrows here. So what is in that arrow, in those 2 arrows? And it is people, people just like them. So I want to focus on this. So the bulk of your customers will know people just like them. So the coffee shop, our target market was cyclists. Cyclists ride in groups, they all know other cyclists. I race go-karts, motorbikes. I know a lot of people that race those. Don't know many golfers. Don't mix with golfers. I mix with people like me. If you've got somebody who they've just had their first will done, they've just had their first conveyance, they've bought their first house, they've had their first children, that's triggered a will. You look at their social network, it's full of people just like them, who have probably also had children. They're your target market, people just like them. So when you give them really, really good service, they're going to tell people just like them, because that's who you want as customers. That is how it multiplies. So in my cycle world, the guy comes in on his own, gets a really high quality flat white, served quickly. He goes and tells his group. His group comes in the following weekend, there's 6 in that group. It's multiplied by 6, giving really good customer service. So who else, So it's all the people like them. It could be their job. You're all in the professions. I'm going to take a wild swinging guess. On a Friday night, if you go out for a meal with your friends, you probably don't go out with too many welders. You may do, but broadly we mix with people like us. I gave a talk a bit like this at a building contractors company a few years ago. And yeah, on a Friday, Saturday night, they went for pizza with all the other tradesmen. That's what they did. They didn't mix with the legal profession, they're tradespeople. We mixed with people like us. So think about every one of your clients will know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people with the same need as you've just done. You've just serviced a need, a will, conveyancing, a legal case, whatever. Chances are in their network is someone else with the same need. When you give that really good service, so the cyclist comes in, went to Cafe Velo Verde last week, it's amazing. Got a really good flat white and I could charge my cycle computer up, charge my lights up, and I could oil my chain. They got oil on it, was brilliant. He tells his friends, they all come. So all of your clients that you've gone through this process to win, who do they know? When you give really good service, they will tell their friends. And then the friends come to you. I was talking to a gentleman at the lunch about one of a competitor thing that had an Eastern European solicitor. Obviously that's a niche, if you like. There's a lot of Eastern Europeans here. So it's actually over-exceeding is having somebody that speaks Polish in this instance. That's over-exceeding. But what if we go on a higher level? What if we also had Polish snacks? What if I had a Polish magazine for them to read? What about some Polish drinks? That would elevate it. So we've gone not just standard. So, what time do you close? So I'm pretty sure if I came to any of you, I wanted a will writing, I'm driving back, got stuck in traffic, I'm going to be late, and you close at 5 o'clock. Laurie, I'm going to pick on you. I want some help storytelling, and you've got children, but I can't get there for 5 o'clock. Can you over-exceed and meet me at 5:30? She says through gritted teeth, thinking, not really. Elsie, want some help from you. You haven't got children. I can't get to you till 6 o'clock. Can we do something? Can you help me out? Yeah. Of course you can, because it's over-exceeding. Yeah, you can always do that little bit extra. This particular one, this review, the guy came, we'd closed. I turned the machine off, turned the coffee machine off. He didn't know we were closed. He's 25 miles from home, just wants a coffee. I said, look, yeah, I get your brownie out, we'll sort of brownie, coffee machine with 10 minutes to warm up. We served him. He sat outside, he left us a really good review. Even when we were closed, we gave really good service. So in your business, how do you put yourself in the position to over-exceed? Or do you just do the standard? Do you do the same as other legal businesses? Do you consciously find a way to over-exceed? So I challenge you all to go back into your businesses and find ways you can over-exceed. Could be you give first-time clients some extra fact-find, extra FAQs, extra help to explain what the thing that you've done for 10, 20 years or whatever, and you know inside out. They don't know that. Could be as simple as that. And can you do something that's different? So calling a customer as Richard Thurden, 5-star Pete, was different. We gave them free oil so they could oil the chain. That was different. Hanging a bike on the wall doesn't make you a cycle cafe in our world. So happy clients tell people just like them. So I can't overemphasize this enough. When you've gone through all the process you've gone through to win a client, and then you've gone through the whole thing that you do and made them happy, don't let it stop. Encourage them to tell their friends. Encourage them to have reviews. And when they do tell their friends, they're telling people just like them who are your target customer. So marketeers in the room, if you get your customer service right, I'm sorry, but we don't need you, because we can multiply our sales without needing extra marketing by giving really good customer service. The flip side of that, who do unhappy clients tell? Well, that's really simple. They'll name to everybody. They'll tell the world. If you've been given really good service, you'll be on Facebook, you'll be down the pub, you'll be moaning to your friends. Very quickly, they'll tell everybody. The good service, they tell their closest friends that are just like them. And we heard it earlier when Tom said, know, like, and trust. We trust our friend, don't we? If our friend says, you should try this restaurant, yep, I'll go there. And you'll probably have a very good meal because you're just like the majority of your friends. I'm talking about this fella here. He's a magician, he's a speaker and a magician. And he is, to me, he is somebody that totally embodies the personal, the authentic, the personality. So he's spoken for me at a couple of events. He's spoken at Ignite, was the event myself and Tom put on together. Every time Ricky has spoken for me, in the post afterwards, I've had these postcards. I always get one. Got him on the front. I need 2 hands for this. Let me put this down a sec. So he's got these photographs, a whole set of them. That's good service, isn't it? Yeah. But what does he do to over-exceed? You get a little envelope a few days after he's spoken for you. What he does to over-exceed? On the back, written in a marker pen, is a very personal message. In a marker pen written on the back. Could have written with a ballpoint pen. That's standard. Marker pen really stands out. So finally the day, mate, woohoo, smash it, mate, proud of you, smiley face and a kiss. Very personal, very authentic Ricky. So what if you had something like this? If you're in conveyancing, you help people do conveyancing, you help with will, send them a postcard, thank you very much. That personalised message. If that was written in ballpoint pen, don't quite see it the same, do you? So he uses a Sanford Sharpie pen. You can get my feet off Amazon. I think they're about £6 for 12. Get yourself. If you want to do anything tomorrow morning, go on Amazon or your local office supply shop and buy some Sanford Sharpies. They're very bold. Whatever you write is very bold, very personal. Much better than a pencil or a ballpoint pen. So the other thing Ricky does, sometimes you get a little package arrive, silver bubble wrap. He's had some chocolate made. So what if in your practice or your legal business, you had some chocolate with your branding on it and you gave it to your clients afterwards? That's good, isn't it? That's good service. That's over-exceeding. Here's some chocolate. We all like chocolate. That's elevating it. But what if there's a personal written message on the back, all the best for 2025, Ricky. And a kiss again. So he took the elevated, he did something different, but he multiplied it by making it personal, authentic, with personality. Because that is what Ricky does. He does magic tricks as well. So speaking of customer service, there's a very well-known speaker, Jeff Ram, speaks a lot about customer service. It's his book. I definitely recommend, again, you buy that. So who is your ultimate celebrity? So I've seen Jeff Ram speak a few times, and he told this story of a furniture shop owner in Yorkshire, and Richard Gere was filming a film down the road. And his agents came and said, can Richard come? He wants a private shop, doesn't want the press there. Can he come on next Thursday at 8 o'clock at night? Of course he answers yes, because of course she'll stay home. But what did she do? Well, she got her hair done, for one. She got her nails done. She bought a new dress, bought new shoes. But she also said, we give really, really good customer service. But for Richard Gere, we go up a level. You get my hair done with Richard Gere, get my makeup done. So my current celebrity would be Dua Lipa. If Dua Lipa wants some advice on customer service, I'm here. I'm here. I can help her out. We happened to speak earlier. Elsie, yours was Dame, her name's gone out of my head. Dame Judi Dench. Okay. So my wife, as soon as I told my wife, oh, she's amazing. She knows Shakespeare band, amazing. Laurie, Daniel Priestley, business book guru. So the question is, Daniel Priestley is on the phone. He'd just flown back from speaking in Los Angeles. He phones you, Laurie. My plane's come in, it's midnight. I can be with you at 1. Can you help me with some storytelling?
Yeah, the grandparents.
Elsie, the dame's on the phone. Oh, I really need some help. I'm not very good at chasing down some of these leads for plays. Elsie, can you help me? I've just landed. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Can I be with you? The question I ask you now... Oh, something more. The question I ask you now... What time do you close? Exactly. So my point is that we talk about good customer service, but who is your celebrity? Whoever is your celebrity, if you knew they were coming in, what would you do different? Why can't that be every person? Why can't you elevate a little bit more? Why couldn't the lady in Yorkshire do a little bit more for every person that came through the door, not just Richard Gere? So back to where I started from, the standard service from the consultant, if that's there, Alok Singh was here. He made me a celebrity. You can't give celebrity service to everybody, but what if you go halfway in between? What if you could? What little more can you do that elevates your customer service? When you go back to your businesses, there's probably quite a lot when you think about it. But it is very, very powerful. This lady, is in heaven now. She was probably the ultimate celebrity. If the Queen is coming to your business, what happens? So Billy Connolly is also a celebrity. He would probably be somewhere in my top 5 celebrities, ultimate celebrities I'd like to meet. And he had this famous quote about the Queen. What happened every time the Queen went to any business? The Queen thought the whole world smelled of fresh paint. Before the Queen arrived, everything gets repainted. Everything. So what's your equivalent of repainting? What's your equivalent of the Richard Gere scenario? Dame Judy, Daniel Priestley come in. What is it to you? Can you elevate what you do? So, I'd like to talk about hugs. This is controversial. I warn in advance. So, some people, want a hug? Oh, quiet, easy. I'm going to ask you to do something. I'd like you all to get up, stand up, get your phones. You may be with somebody that you know. Come on. You've thrown aeroplanes, we may as well go for a hug. So you may know somebody. If you know somebody, give them a hug, give somebody a hug, give somebody a handshake, take a selfie. Okay, you can sit back down again now. So you've made yellow paper aeroplanes, and you've had hugs, and you're at a legal conference. So back to my coffee shop. The CEO of the Coffee Roasters, we've been open about 3 months, and he said, "Can I come and see you on Saturday? I want to see what you're doing." I said, "Well, why's that, Gav?" He says, "Well, in 3 months since you opened, you're number 1 on TripAdvisor, and you're in our top 10 customers, and I don't know how you're doing it. Because you're not from the coffee shop world. You designed offices. I don't know what you're doing. And I'm not sure you do." So he came in, he spent most of the day with us, and he left and he said, I get it now. 15 years I've been in this coffee shop industry. I've never been in a coffee shop where so many people get a hug on the way in and probably on the way out. Hugs are underrated. Okay, they're underrated. There are some people, no, I don't want a hug. But when do we hug? We hug when we're happy. If little Johnny comes in and he's got excellent school report, what do? You give him a hug. If little Johnny comes in and he's upset, what do? You give him a hug. What's the situations when you may be able, even if it's metaphorically, to give your customers a hug? When you've got them out of a tricky legal situation, when you've completed that house after 12 weeks and it's 4 throughs and whatever. So they're very powerful, our hugs. So how do you feel? We spoke earlier, one of the questions was, how do you make somebody feel? So you've all had a hug, you've been at a legal growth conference, you've had a hug. I'd hazard a guess, actually that wasn't too bad, was it? It was all right. It is possible to have a hug. So I put that slide back up about customer service. If Einstein was a businessman, that's his formula. If he was a marketeer, an entrepreneur, that's his formula. This last one, if there's one slide you photograph, that's the one. So can you, in every aspect of your business, make your customer service personal, authentic, and deliver it with personality? If you do that, you will, I guarantee you will multiply your sales. So that's me, LinkedIn selfie. When you take those pictures, put them on LinkedIn, that's me. But thank you very much for listening.